Good news, everybody. You're Pexin with the Legends. We are your hosts from the Gamer Editing team. I feel like I missed a word there. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
right.
My,
Nailed it.
my name is Eric, and this week I'm blasting that Devo, baby.
Oh, it's your boy Finn or Andrew. And I'm still just using the Wingman and Mastiff every single patch. I ignore the notes and I just use the same weapons. Let's go.
If you are just listening to us, you may not have noticed yet. Whitney is not here this week. She had real life things to do, but she will be back next week. We didn't fire her from the show. Don't worry. Whitney will be back.
Yes, she's a bedrock of this podcast.
This is week 1 of season 6. We have about a million things to talk about, but I think that this week what we're going to do is run through all of the patch notes, top to bottom, because that's a lot. And then I think next week we'll pick back up. We'll talk about more of the map changes in depth when we've had a little bit more time to play. We've been playing a lot, I'm sure. Andrew, you've played a ton already, right?
Yeah, I've already grinded the Battle Pass level 10, so whatever that is.
Yeah, I'm somewhere around there too. So we've both been playing a ton, but I think next week we'll talk about the comic that we unlocked because I haven't looked at that yet, and we'll talk about the map changes and more of the in-game stuff. Today, what we're gonna do is talk about the high-level stuff and just run through all the patch notes. So first things first, skipping right past new legend, new gun, crafting system. We'll get there. Let's jump into the new armor meta. And Andrew, try to explain to us how armor works now and say it without being full of spite, if you can.
Greetings. I will now be explaining the new armor. So, yeah, there's been some simple but very drastic changes, I'd say, to how armors functions, and that everything is now Evo armor. However, you can find this Evo armor in any state, in that it can be white, it can be blue, and it can be purple on the ground. That means that most of the time you'll just be finding a lot of white Evo armor. It appears the same in that it's still glowing, and the most notable change they made to Evo armor on top of this is that white has its traditional 25 points of protection, blue at 50, purple at 75. So armor is essentially weaker. So normal white armor used to give you 50, blue would give you 75, and purple would give you 100. So now that's been scaled back so that the time to kill is lower. So you're more vulnerable for more of the game most of the time. There is still gold armor on the map, which offers the full 100 and the fast heal. So you can level this Evo armor up to red, which will also go to 100 rather than 125. That, I believe, covers all of the armor changes.
Yeah, I think I've picked up gold, and I'm pretty sure gold is still 75.
Oh, you're actually right. You're 100% right. That's
Yeah.
my bad. So red is the strongest, and gold is weaker, but it's better than purple in that you can still fast heal.
It has the perk.
Yeah, it has the perk where healing's more efficient. So if you do a sell, you'll get 50
Yeah.
sell.
Yeah,
It's
the
not
one
faster.
the one other thing is that you now start with a level 0 Evo. So even if you don't pick one up, you can start leveling your blank shield immediately.
I actually didn't even notice that. So I just learned something.
Yeah. So you start with a level 0. If you do 50 damage, it turns white. So it's 50 damage to white, 125 to blue, 250 to purple, and 500 to red.
Okay.
So the best way to think of it, I guess, is that every stage of armor is one step down now. A red is now a purple's now a blue is now a white. And there's only Evo except for the gold. The gold is not an Evo. Big change, right? What do you think?
I kind of like it. I like it as its own thing because it incentivizes those mid-game skirmishes that I think de-incentivize camping. So in a way, I like it. I like that. I think it really punishes people who camp, because already multiple times I've run into three stacks that seem like they've been sort of in the same building or same position for a long time, and they almost always just have white armor. And then the more active teams are more difficult when we run into them because they almost always have at least like a blue level armor. So that's kind of good. However, I don't like it um, in tandem with the weapon changes because I believe we now have the most powerful pool of floor loot ever in Apex. That you can get a turbocharged devotion, the wingman and mastiff. Those high miss percentage but high damage when you hit weapons are even more powerful now that players essentially on average are going to be weaker than they normally are. Um, the care package weapons are all incredibly strong. So I think it's good, but in a way, I'm not sure if I like how easy it is to just get killed when there's still sound issues with footsteps and silent devotions, getting gunned down by the Volt or the devotion with your back turned before you have a chance to react. So it's like it's good and bad.
Yeah. I was totally on board until the part where everything got stepped down 25 damage.
Mm,
Um, that's when I started to be like, oh, this is maybe not just a healthy change, it's like a dramatic change. Because I'm with you, like the idea that I guess I'm of two minds. One is that I really like that I'm in a way gaining experience points as I play and leveling up my armor. And like now every time I see an enemy, I have an incentive to take the shot because I'm getting stronger when I deal damage. So I think about like, Apex many seasons ago where a lot of encounters I would try to maybe hide if I didn't have the advantage, or try to sneak into the late game for more battle pass experience or something. But now I feel like I have a better chance to win fights if I start the engagement because I'm leveling up my character. It's sort of like this RPG feel that really resonates with me. So I like that a
yeah.
lot. I almost wish that it was no armor and you could only level it up. Everybody started with level 0 armor and just whoever did the most damage. But I realized you drop and you get into situations where you don't see anyone, or like you can just feel like you don't have a chance, and maybe you don't even play out the game if you don't get an early advantage. So you still have to have blue drops and purple drops. I do get that. But then when you lower how much damage they take, thus lowering the TTK, which is the point. I just feel like I'm getting shot in the back all the time. I feel like I'm getting more kills, but I'm getting killed out of nowhere a lot more.
hmm
And that don't feel good. And I imagine at even higher level play, that feels even worse when people don't miss shots. And it can start to feel like, well, he saw me before I saw him, so I lost.
hmm
You know, um,
Yeah. I
dramatic
think that
change.
Yeah, that's like a lot of the main issue is that Apex is just a game where you have a lot of options at range to deal with players, specifically those who are very well practiced. Like they can deal very quickly upwards of 100 damage if you're just out in the open transitioning one POI to the next.
Hmm.
If they see you and you don't immediately have cover, you can essentially insta die at the mid to long range, which I think can be brutal, specifically to new players, also just in general, because you don't have a lot of options, where this extra 25 essentially that we're missing kind of is, you're feeling the weight of it in these games. I feel like if there's an easier way to detect when danger is near, or to understand when somebody with an energy weapon or some other powerful weapon is close, and you can find a way to respond and avoid it, I wouldn't mind it as much. But right now, it seems like it's difficult to find solutions if you're not already aware that they're coming or they're near. If they've shot you, there's a way you can instantly escape.
Yeah, I'm also already finding how it has the effect of changing my inventory management because shield cells are so much more valuable now. Because as one, you're getting hits off of your shield faster because you have less segments, but also every time you level it up, you have to heal it up, right? It doesn't automatically fill. So
hmm
I'm finding that I have to carry more shield cells, which is a new balancing act because that means I can have less of ammo or something else that I need. Do you feel like like shield cells are like more valuable now, or is that am I going too far with that?
No, I think 100%. It's like it seems like a small thing when you talk about it, but in practicality, I think it's like really, really a big deal. And not only that, it's more important than ever to stay healthy before you re-engage or re-peak someone. I found that I could take some liberties if I'm walking around with like a blue shield and I get, half the blue shield knocked off. I can probably take a re-peak maybe. Now, if you get shot and you have a blue shield, it's pretty much like with most heavy hitting weapons, the blue shield's gone. You got to re-heal.
Yeah.
You really can't take risks anymore as much because your shields, if you get pinged first, you almost always it favors just healing first and then peaking. So I just find that I always have to use what's in my inventory, so it burns faster.
Yeah, I find the other thing I'm gonna have to get used to over the season is thinking about what each color means, because there's a way that I act when I ping somebody and I see that they're purple or blue or white, and if I hit somebody and they're white, I'm much more likely to push before this season. Now I have to get it into my head that like blue equals white, and so if I tap somebody and I see blue, like that means they only have 50 armor,
Yeah.
like go for them. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot to wrap our minds around. I totally get that some people are not happy because they liked that higher TTK, but we'll just have to see. And I know that they're not going to stick to it if everyone hates it. That's the one thing that I can trust about the respawn team is like if this sucks, it'll go away.
Right.
So okay, real quick, hollow sprays. I wanted to say something that was funny about it. You probably noticed this, but when you win a game, it prompts you to use your spray.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Do you even have sprays? Because I don't have any unlocked. Or,
You can buy some. You can craft some. So
but don't they cost like a ton?
they did. They're expensive. Yeah.
Okay.
There's some on the battle pass. I think there's not one for every character for sure.
Yeah. Right.
That's what I was hoping.
Mhm.
And I think every character only has 2 right now.
Not even. Some have one.
Some have 1. Okay, they're
Yeah.
cool. I do
Yeah, they're
like
really
them.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you win a game, it pops up on your screen, spray, and you're like, yeah.
Do you want to make your opponents mad real fast? Well, of
Yeah.
course I do.
I think somebody said, or I read somewhere that if you spam crouch, it'll prompt you. Like if you
Oh
teabag,
yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah.
it'll prompt you to use it. So that's pretty clever.
I wonder if it only prompts you if you have one available to
Yes.
use.
Yeah. You have to
Maybe
have one
that's why I haven't
equipped.
seen it. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's the only disappointing part, and is that I can't afford one, so I'm personally angry. But at the same time, I kind of like that they're hard to get because you won't be able to see them a lot, and they mean more than when they're used.
Right. And the thing that we were worried about is them junking up the arena. Like
Mm,
we're not seeing them at all. And obviously it's early. People are going to unlock them, but just using them when you get a kill is like the way that they're meant to be used, I guess.
yeah.
When you wipe a team. Okay. I know we're going to talk about the quest next week, but in the notes, it says follow the story from season 5 quest now in full color illustrated comics. So it says in the patch notes for the quest, it says follow the story from season 5 quest now in full color illustrated comics. But I took a peek at the first one and it looks like it's a new story. It looks like the
Oh,
quest for
really?
this season, there's 7 of them, whereas
Mhm.
last season there was 11. And it looks like it's a new story about something Rampart is doing.
That makes me really happy, and I guess that makes sense with the wording, right? If they said from season 5, um, it depends on how you interpret from.
Yeah.
Starting from where season 5 left off, or the story from season 5. Um, but I'm glad to hear that because I liked the lore element during season 5. I thought it was really cool, even if some of the missions were underwhelming. I liked seeing the characters interact in a way that wasn't just us shooting each other and their quips and stuff. So even if all we get for now is a comic series that features Rampart, like that makes me happy to hear. I haven't peeked at them yet, so
Yeah.
good.
We'll talk about that next week and figure it out, but right now I'm a little confused about it. Okay, let's get into our Legends balance changes. The big thing they did this season was the update to the Recon class, and they gave Pathfinder's passive to Crypto and Bloodhound. I
Hmm.
did not see that coming.
Neither did I.
Do they hate Pathfinder?
I think it's confirmed that they hate Not just Pathfinder, but any robot. Pick a robot, they hate him.
I mean, this is bizarre. I want to read what they said about it. We're taking a look at the recon class. A class built around information gathering should be powerful in a BR, where knowing where the enemy is often the difference between life and death. But out of the 3 legends in the recon class, Pathfinder, Crypto, and Bloodhound, one dominates in terms of in-game performance. It's the robot. In this patch, we're mostly buffing Bloodhound as they needed help the most. Crypto's changes are a mixed bag, which I don't think that's accurate, but Crypto's changes are a mixed bag, as we also found one bug we had to fix. Basically, that I don't know if I encountered the bug, but basically, when you shot at the drone, you weren't always hitting the drone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You wouldn't know because what they mean is like, I don't know if you noticed, but since his whatever last patch, his drone has been borderline invincible. You have to land a massive amount of shots in succession to kill the thing, or a shoddy like massive 100 something hit like point blank. So it'll show green, right, when you think you're doing damage.
Mm-hmm.
What it's saying is like those green things that were popping up, even though it gave you indication you're doing damage, you weren't actually doing damage. It's kind of like no reg.
Okay.
Essentially, it's like that.
Okay. So yeah, we have big changes for all 3 of our recon characters. By giving Pathfinder's passive, his ability to do the scan and see where the next ring is going to be, they gave that to Bloodhound and Crypto. And to help out Pathfinder, here's what they did. Zipline gun cooldown reduced by 10 seconds, so his alt, reduced by 10 seconds each time Pathfinder scans a beacon, up to 6 rings per game, for a total reduction from 120 seconds to 60 seconds. What?
I don't know.
I don't know either. How convoluted and weird is that?
Man, it's it's like
who cares?
I don't know. Somebody tweeted, I think it was Albrelelli, who's like one of the most famous Pathfinder players. Pretty much said like, who the hell scans 6 zones as Pathfinder?
No.
Like, nobody does that.
To chop 10 seconds off of his zipline.
It's really weird.
It's so weird. It reeks of like they had no idea what to do. That's kind of what it seems like.
Yeah, and it seems like a weirdly complicated change too. It's like they could have done something just as not effective, but less weird, like less complicated, just something straight up, like reducing his grapple cooldown by 5 seconds or whatever. I don't know.
So, like, obviously we're goofing on it, but like, here's why I think this is dumb and bad. Because I'm putting myself in the game. I am Pathfinder, and I'm trying to make a decision about what actions to take. And there is a 0% chance that I'm going to be like, "Hey, team, I know it's the first round, but I have to scan that because I only have 1 stack of cooldown reduction on my alt, and I need to get to 3 to be efficient in this game." Like, that makes there's no way I'm ever going to consider the cooldown. And it's like, if they intended it for it just to be like, oh, here's a little something extra, then it's pointless. It really does feel completely pointless.
It's definitely not enough incentive to like go scan the beacon again. And I don't know. It's weird.
No, and I would love to see somebody like announce that a reduced cooldown on a zipline won them a game. Like, thank God it was only a 1-minute cooldown on the zipline, or we would have been in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
I think how you framed it the first way with like they seem like they didn't really have a good idea, and even the wording, right? Didn't they say like, we'll continue to look at them, see what we can come up with. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's something in there in the patch notes.
Yeah, I think they did say, don't worry, we're going to keep working on Pathfinder, but
yeah.
Maybe they could have given him his tactical back. I don't know, if they wanted to help him. Okay, so let's talk about Bloodhound. So kind of 2 big changes for Bloodhound. One is that while in the alt, if Bloodhound gets a knockdown or a kill before it ends, it'll extend the duration. I think maybe it always did that, but now it extends it more.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, okay. So it used to, if you got a knockdown in the alt, it would extend it another 5 seconds. Now it extends it another 15 seconds.
Okay.
Which that's significant. The other one is that the while alting, the cooldown for Bloodhound's tactical is now 6 seconds. No, it's not. It's 0.9 seconds.
Okay.
While alting, you can use Bloodhound's tactical every 0.9 seconds.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah, so you can just spam that scan. You can already see everyone through smoke and
Hmm.
at a distance, but now you can give that information to your whole team.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess the big question is that enough to get, Bloodhound not back into, but into a top tier position? Is Bloodhound significantly more pickable with those advanced recon tactics?
I'm gonna go ahead and say yes. Actually,
Really?
the first team to make Predator this season was Reps, Alberlelli, and Appraise, and they used, uh, I believe, Wraith, Bloodhound, Gibraltar. So Reps was playing
Wow.
Bloodhound. And somebody actually from the squad that I'm running with is using Bloodhound, and I noticed quite a different. Like, there's presence now. If you have a Bloodhound, like, you have a Bloodhound because you half the time can see everyone you're fighting, and the ult just seems like it's always there in battles, and rather than like what it used to be, which seemed to be sort of rare. Now it seems like he's and I see Bloodhound all the time, like in matchmaking. I've seen it a lot in ranked and in public matches. So I don't know if it'll be super used in competitive, but I would not be surprised at all to see some teams using um, Bloodhound. Not, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I think I misread this, but I'm a little confused on what the numbers mean. Actually, maybe you can clarify this. So there's two adjustments to Eye of the Allfather cooldown during Beast of the Hunt. So
Hmm.
that's the tactical during the alt.
Hmm.
So the cooldown itself went from 25 seconds to 6 seconds. So that's how often they can use it, right?
Okay.
But then the second number is I, the Allfather, total use time during Beast of the Hunt, 1.8 seconds down to zero point 0.9 seconds. Is that how long the enemies are highlighted?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
In my
got
head,
it.
that's what that means while you were reading it, which I didn't realize earlier. But yeah, that's how I'm interpreting it.
Okay. So yeah,
It
so to clarify, that's a tiny bit of a nerf on the buff.
mhm.
So
And it's simply, and it sort of changes how you would use it too, because the cooldown on the tactical during the ultimate itself is pretty significant, right? Like, you can use it way more now.
it went from 25 seconds down to 6 seconds.
I think in a way it's a buff, but you have to be really careful when you use it because there's that animation of scanning. But
Right.
now you can use it, like, keep pinging it like sonar,
Yeah, yeah.
The Bloodhound's kind of like a bat, essentially. That's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to turn them into a bat creature.
Yeah.
Bloodhound, they're going to turn into a bat. That's what
They're going to get
Batman's
wings, they're
ending
going to start flying
it.
around. Okay, and then as for crypto, and also Bloodhound can now use the recon
Mhm.
scanners. Crypto
And he
can't.
has his sorry to interrupt. He's got his own animation, I think. I haven't used it, but I heard it's like some device he carries. Scan the beacon, so it's a new animation.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that too, but I haven't played it. As for crypto can scan with the drone, which is nuts. To be able to do that recon with no risk from as far away from pretty far away. Um,
Instantly.
instantly, yeah. But you have to. It's kind of weird. It's kind of bugged, I think. Actually, you have to
Okay.
face it. So you'll get the prompt and the sound for scanning it, but it won't do it unless you're facing the front panel of the scanner.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But if you line it up correctly, it's just instant, right?
Yes. Yeah, it does it
Yeah.
instantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
nuts.
not only that, but also the respawn
Hmm.
can
Also
activate
instant.
activate the respawn
It is
instantly
instant. Yes.
with the drone. Um, that's not all. Uh, doubled the drone's health, but fixed the bug where it was hard to hit.
Hmm.
EMP will now slow teammates caught in the blast, even if they had no shields. This means players who have used Revenant's Death Totem will also be slowed. So there, we'll get to Wraith, but they did a few things to try to break up. We've talked about it on the show, but that combo with Revenant and Crypto and Wraith, that's just so OP. They've made 2 nerfs to make that stop. So the drone went from 30 health to 60 health, and the drone's hitbox size has increased cube of edge length from 16 to 24. So it's got a bigger hitbox. That being said, even with those pseudo nerf buffs to the drone, like, how ridiculous is it that drone can do scans and revives now instantly?
It's actually nuts. Crypto just got the hugest buff of his entire freaking life, and they have no clue.
Yeah.
Pathfinder only, I don't know if they knew this. I don't know what is with them in Pathfinder and evaluating Pathfinder. Pathfinder was only in the meta at all because of his passive. Like, that was it. They used him because he could scan beacons and players could rotate really fast. That was like his utility, because his hitbox has always been weird. He's been a wonky character. He's had low profile. Everybody hates that on him. All sorts of stuff. Not only did they give it to Bloodhound and Crypto's ability to take advantage of that is now vastly superior to both Pathfinder and Bloodhounds. Crypto, I think, is pretty much a necessity. He's going to be massive in the meta now. Everybody thinks so, at least. We'll see, I guess, when they do the first tournament with the patch. Crypto's nuts. Crypto's absolutely nuts. I think we'll be seeing a lot of Crypto, and I cannot imagine they're going to keep Crypto in the state he is for long. He's absolutely overpowered without a doubt.
He can just do so many things. I mean, if you break down everything that the drone can do, it's like he has more abilities than every other legend does.
Yeah.
Because, there's a lot of things you might not know if you haven't played a lot of Crypto. Like, you do not have to be piloting that drone for that drone to be tagging targets, for example. Like, you can get the highlight on enemies just by having the drone in the vicinity. You know? And you can place that thing, you can recall it, you can fly it somewhere else. Like, it's a very versatile tool. It's not as simple as it seems, where it's just eyes in the sky. And now that it can scan recons and do revives, it's bananas. It's really crazy.
Bananas. And a lot of the reason why it's bananas is it kind of renders Pathfinder so useless now at this point. Like, not only did he get really buffed, he just pretty much said, "Hey, Pathfinder, have fun on the bench."
Yeah.
And on top of that, to their credit, I think it makes a lot of sense with like his lore and his feel. Now it really does feel like that drone's like a hacker. It's getting into systems, it's doing stuff, it's got a lot of function. I kind of like it. And plus, it is, even though it's kind of confusing with the text, it's much easier to kill that thing. You tap that thing, it's done. That glitch where shots weren't registering on its hitbox was like very prevalent in how nuts it was to kill those things. So now I think stopping the super is pretty practical, because you can shoot the drone down again. Whereas like you pretty much had to perform perfectly to stop that thing if it was doing the ultimate animation. So now it's a lot more practical to destroy it, but still, it's like you said, he just has so much utility. It's hard to ignore his presence.
Yeah, totally. Okay, let's get into the rest of these, because there's a lot more hero changes or legends changes. So as for Revenant, what we have, I actually thought this applied to Wraith, but they're putting it in Revenant's category. For 2 seconds after being recalled to the Death Totem, players cannot use Wraith's Dimensional Rift. So can you explain why anybody should care?
So what a lot of people were complaining about, especially in the competitive scene, was that there were teams that were essentially throwing their games with heavy aggression in the middle of tournaments, which is usually frowned upon, and that they were using the Death Totem, instantly going through Wraith's portal that they were sending to use their extra lives to essentially do a ridiculous amount of damage on a team, with the third player being Crypto, ulting them. So their shields are off, they're fighting Revenant forms. If you barely win as that team and defend the Revenant forms, they're just going to respond by the totem as their normal forms, go back through the portal, and then finish you off. So you essentially had to kill 6 players at a disadvantage with your shields instantly. It was an incredibly powerful way to push teams. and now they're trying to weaken that push, which a lot of people agree that it's kind of a weak way to, like, it's not that big of a, you know,
Yeah,
nerf to that push.
so it's those two things, right? Is one, when you come back to the totem, you have to wait 2 seconds. Okay. And the other is that the crypto alt will slow your teammates.
Yeah, which that's a non-issue. Any good team will just simply not be in range when the crypto goes off and then use the portal, or just be riding the edge of that range,
Yeah.
still push. And
So
plus the 2-second thing also incentivizes that team that went back to syringe up once before going through the portal, so they'll just go through even stronger
right,
instead of being too eager to go back through at half health. So it's like
right.
it's almost like a
Now
way to force maturity.
it gives the other team the opportunity to heal too.
That's true, yeah.
But if both teams are just healing, then there's no
Yeah, it
advantage.
does nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll, keep an eye on that one. It seems like that's
Yeah.
still going to be happening.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it still will be. But at the same time, because there's so many options at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if because even though it was being complained about, it's not like an overwhelming amount of teams are doing it. I don't know if it's the hugest problem,
yeah.
but I think we'll still see it.
I think an interesting thing about Revenant this season is that the new shield meta is sort of a buff for him. Because
Hmm.
when he ults, they still have the same amount of health, and if everybody just has less shields now, then Revenant just got stronger.
Hmm.
Um, so with how crazy they made his ult last season, I still think we're gonna have lots of really strong Revenants running around for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is something for Octane. Can now use Stim while healing. Stim will not remove the slow you incur from heal. What does that mean?
I actually have not tried this because when I first read it, I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I understand. And I meant to test it in the firing range and I forgot to test it.
Okay.
So have you seen that in practice?
No, I haven't. I think, does it mean like because the stim has a certain amount of time that it lasts, that you had to wait to heal until it ended, but now you can heal while it's going. You just won't get the speed boost. It kind of like cancels the speed the stim. I don't know. We'll have to test it.
Yeah, I almost feel like because you could heal while stimming earlier, right? You just instantly slowed completely to the walking speed.
I don't know.
Now
That's what it
maybe you
says
walk a
now.
little faster, or I'm not sure. That does require testing or somebody who plays Octane to expound on that. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah. We'll talk about that next week after we get a chance to try it.
Yeah.
Loba is Black Market. Her alt cooldown has gone from 3 minutes to 90 seconds. Probably is not going to have a big impact, but great for people like for the fun factor.
Hmm.
Because I play Loba for fun,
Yeah.
not to win. And I think I know that kind of is weird. That doesn't really make sense. But like, there are definitely like same with Octane. I play Octane for fun, not to win.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I don't know if that makes her more viable compared to everybody else now. But what do you?
Yeah, my main thing is like especially with crafting materials being a way to sort of get. I've already used it to get skull piercers, purple heavy mags for my wingman. Like it's been surprisingly effective in topping off my loot, which is I guess the one cool thing about Loba. And specifically because other teams can use Loba's black market, which is like 90%. I'll be like, oh, somebody used Loba's black market, and I'll just go snag what I need from it. It's almost helpful to me and other teams. Like so,
That's just bad
Loba.
players not closing their market though.
Oh yeah, you can close them. That's true. Bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Good point. Good point. But at the same time, I still feel like Loba may actually be the weakest legend now.
Mm.
I would love to see her later on get a patch that absolutely makes her broken in a good way,
You
such as removing the animation for blink.
That's what I was gonna say, yeah.
That'd just be so cool if you could just blink around and actually. I think that would balance her. I don't even think
Mhm.
it'd make her broken. I'd just make her way more fun and
Way more fun,
really
yeah.
versatile. Yeah. But
Um,
I don't have a lot of thoughts on that. I think it's like you said, she's just for fun at this point.
yeah. We have a, flip-flop. We have a Gibraltar nerf and an equal Bangalore buff. There is
Mm,
there's a minute and a half swap. Gibraltar's cooldown for defensive bombardment increased from 3 minutes to 4.5, while at the same time Bangalore's alt Rolling Thunder decreased from 4.5 to 3. So it took
mhm.
a minute and a half from Gibraltar and gave it to Bangalore.
Yeah.
Hashtag leave Gibraltar alone. Stop every. How many patches in a row have we seen Gibraltar take a ding?
I'm not sure, but
Um,
yeah, they've been punching him in the face ever since he became meta.
yeah. Um, I don't.
I don't mind this one as much though, because I feel like Gibraltar's always been really strong simply because he's so hard to kill with his gun shield and fortified.
Yeah.
And his shield, his tactical is just so useful in every situation. However, I think the main reason I like it is because Bangalore's ult was weaker. The fact that it took longer to get was always bizarre, and Bangalore is underplayed, I think, and that gives her some more utility, I guess. So I don't mind that change as much, but yeah, they do be doing my boy Gibraltar pretty dirty.
Yeah. I guess I have more of a fundamental problem with Bangalore's alt in that I don't need to use it more. I need it to function different to feel like I can get good use out of it.
Hmm.
Because it's just I think the intention of using it for zoning doesn't really mesh very well with the layout of maps and the way fights actually play out. I
Hmm.
rarely, and maybe I'm just bad. Well, I am bad, but I rarely feel like I get a significant advantage from using Bangalore's alt, even if I have intention behind the way that I use it. Even if I'm thinking like, okay, if I can alt now, it's going to push them either this direction or this direction, and then my team will have an advantage. It never seems to go that way.
Yeah, actually, you're right. In fact, I think I just thought of a cool change. I hate wasting time on the podcast talking about a potential idea, but this would be so cool. I'm just going to say it. If they kept it everything exactly the same, but instead of like those rockets that stick in the ground, they function more like landmines, that would make her way better. Straight up. Like if you touch them, they
They
explode.
persist
Because
until
it's
you, yeah.
but they'll still explode after a set amount of time anyways, so that it's still it's just as good. It's just way more dangerous for players who are caught in it. Because when I get caught in that, it's nothing. I can just run straight through the entire area, looking at the indicators. Like, yeah, it's so easy to either just run out of it or even inside of it. There's usually some dead spaces where you can escape the blast radius. So it'd be
Because they'll,
super cool, yeah, if they just went off if you hit one.
yeah, the way that they land on different elevation, one will land on a rock next to you and you just stand next to the rock and you're fine.
Yeah,
Or typically what happens is that the enemy just pushes away from you. And if it's intended to work in a way that's like create space so that I can like, my team's at a disadvantage and I need to heal. And I think that sort of makes sense like with her smoke, but who wants to play a character that's like their abilities are meant for when you're doing bad, you know?
yeah, that's actually true. Good point.
So, yeah, I don't, reducing the cooldown is I'm glad they want to make Bangalore better, but that ain't it. Um Wraith, Dimensional Rift, increased alt cooldown from 150 seconds to 210 seconds, 2.5 minutes to 3.5 minutes on the portal.
Hmm.
Leave Wraith alone?
Yeah,
Stop it?
disgusting. What a disgusting attack.
Are you even playing Wraith these days? Does anyone play Wraith anymore?
Who plays Wraith?
Wraith was dominant for, I want to say, the first 4 seasons
Yeah,
consistently. So they said enough of that and just they're taking her down to dead.
they're never going to because her abilities are so unique and mandatory. It's like, well, I guess maybe not mandatory, but I don't know. It's just a mistake to keep nerfing her.
Yeah,
I think I've always held the view that Wraith is close to a perfect legend when it comes to team utility and individual like fun and outplay ability,
yeah,
and that they need to do a better job making other legends like Wraith rather than beating Wraith down. She's so popular because she's so well designed and useful. I just
right.
wish that they weren't like, well, other legends are getting picked. Let's just make Wraith really bad, just like and not fun to use.
Yeah, and I think everybody has an issue when nerfs are just value changes, rather than
Yeah,
like a rework of some kind. Because like, yeah, of course you can just keep making her cooldowns longer and make her animations longer and make her less fun to play.
yeah.
But like what she does is still good if you're in a position to use those tools. It's just like
Hmm.
now I get to do those things less. I get to have less fun when I play her.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I man, I see this all the time, and I think I stole it from you because one time you said it once, like it was some relatively insignificant thought. No, Eric, it was a genius thought. And it's anything that game developers do where they make the punishment or what you need to do to get that thing waiting, that just makes the game less fun. And
Right.
there's no, oh, I felt like I earned this there at all. Like I don't like patience exercises. I think it's a non-creative way to balance.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, anything that just extends the animation time or cooldown, I think is a non-creative way to change. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's just less fun.
But it's hard to be critical when it's like this overpowered character is getting balanced and it's
True.
like we're whining about it. But like legitimately, like I think these changes kind of suck.
Yeah. Yeah, we're like the criticism comes with that we understand how difficult the balancing act is
Right.
to figure out as the developers. So
Yeah.
there's respect there, but still, come on.
We got to keep going. There's so much.
Yeah.
Last one, Watson. Trophy system will now shoot down caustic barrels in flight as they would have landed inside the range of the trophy. I feel like it should have just always done that.
Yeah, I was like, love it.
Yeah, it should have just
Good.
always done that. I can't believe
Yeah.
that took so. I mean, I guess enough people weren't complaining about it, but like, good fix. Okay, loot. Here we go. Extended energy mags and the turbocharger hop up. We are in the season of energy, and it's crazy. I think aside from the shields, the biggest talking point this season is all of the energy weapons.
Mhm.
Every energy weapon got a buff with these extended. Now, they can all use the extended, right? Or maybe the L-Star can't.
I don't know about the L-Star because I haven't picked it up, but the other ones can, yeah.
Yeah. So everything has more ammo, and we'll get to the Havoc. They rebalance, or they change the spread for that. The Devotion's back. It has the turbocharger. We have the Volt, which is also strong. It's like everything is energy. I feel like I'm only picking up energy in most games, and I'm only getting killed by energy.
Yeah.
Is that just, you feel like that's just like a seasonal thing, just like the theme of the season, or does it feel like how does that change feel to you? How does it change the game for you?
I believe Daltouche put out a tweet of like one of the TikToks he made that I found hilarious. And he like it was just like two short little videos. One was seasons 1 through 4, and it was like him uh you know, there were like some normal sound effects of like warfare, almost like what you'd hear in Call of Duty, and he was acting like he was going around with a gun. And then it was like season 6, and then it was just this full out Star Wars fleet battle of laser gun
Yeah.
sounds, and he was like, like it was just like tons of laser guns.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me. So yeah, I think I don't know if they meant to do it, but like in my head, like the Volt and the Devotion are both in that S tier of weapons. They're just absolutely dominant, and then right below that, the Havoc is still insanely good.
Right.
It's just like there's the Havoc, which is the Devotion and the Vault, but more in the middle of the road, and it's still really good. So
Yeah.
it's like there's all these energy weapons. The All Star is still relatively like meh. It's like okay after drop, but like the other three are just like still really freaking good at killing people instantly
Right.
at multiple ranges. So
Right.
it's like, yeah, they're nuts. Energy weapons are nuts, specifically with the turbocharger and the Volt on its own just being probably the best weapon in the game right
Yeah.
now, if you can shoot it.
And I think it's worth qualifying that it's not that they're stronger than other guns, it's that they're easier to use. And because they're easier to use, it means more people can get kills with them.
Yeah, like for instance, the Volt has it doesn't have like super bad recoil, so you can pretty much use it at like most ranges.
Right.
And you can almost instantly kill people with it if you just hit all the shots in the magazine.
Right.
um, which it's not as easy as other weapons, but it's not like super challenging.
Well,
I feel like a little practice and you understand the Vault, and you can beam people down specifically if they're in a bad position, just like boom, just like
yeah.
they're done.
Yeah. And because at no point do you have to ever manage your bullet drop or your travel speed, no matter how far
Mhm.
they are. It means it can be used at pretty much any range.
Mhm.
Pretty much. I mean, obviously the super far range isn't going to work for anything. And then you slap on that purple mag and you can just spray and pray, and like you'll have a pretty good success chance.
Oh yeah, I've been erased off the face of this planet by Volts. And even I've seen clips of people using the Devo with the turbocharger at a massively long range
Yeah,
and murdering people, like
and
absolutely
with
murdering
bad
people.
aim, right?
Yeah.
Because you can just spray the thing forever.
Yeah, exactly. And then players who have good aim, because there are players who can control the recoil of the devotion, especially if the devotion is like a gold barrel or something, like
Yeah,
really, really well. And they can murder people. It doesn't matter where you are. It's just like a matter of making sure you're behind them with that player at every point in time. Either
yeah,
be behind them or have a massive and be point blank with them if you want to win.
yeah, yeah. The energy stuff is really crazy, right?
Yeah.
Precision choke is now built into the triple take and the peacekeeper. I felt like that was a change that's been coming for a long time. I felt like I heard about it a long time ago, but um, like that's a good change. It's necessary for sure because of the loot pool, because the loot pool is so crowded now, and it just keeps getting more crowded. And there's
Hmm.
other things they're doing, like the crafting machine fixes that too, right? Because it takes stuff out of the loot pool. But like that's a perfectly fine change. I mean, we didn't really feel it with the peacekeeper because it's been in the box all last season, so it always had the choke on it.
Exactly. Yep.
So then it was just the triple take, and it felt stupid to have a mod that was for, or to have a hop up that was for one gun.
Yeah.
So does this make the triple take more pickable for you?
I think so, but I still don't use it just because there's so many other good weapons. And
Yeah.
personally, as a player, like I just tend to not like snipers as much because I have more. Apex's just so fun in the close and mid, or yeah, close and mid ranges. I
Mhm.
just love fighting in those ranges. And I don't get me wrong, I love sniping too. I just tend to not do it if I don't have to, and I don't think you have to like run snipers in this meta. So I still don't pick it up, but I think I like it. I think it's a good change, 100%.
Have you been able to pull an R99 out of the red drop?
I did today,
How's
yes.
that feel?
Feels great, but I missed and then died. But it's still really good. I actually love it because now all 3 weapons from the crates are weapons I'm absolutely in love with. They're like
Yeah,
flawless weapons to me. They're so fun, they're so good. Like I love it.
yeah. Yeah, so the while it's in the crate, the damage is increased from 11 to 12, magazine increased to 32, the reserves increased to 160. So it's the R99 but better.
Yeah.
You know, like how scary does that sound? And then we got our devotion back. That was the last one. Clip size reduced back to original values 36, 40, 44, 48. 48 with the purple. Just crazy. Fully kitted weapon swaps. We can skip that. Updated loop. Oh, so this was kind of interesting. I wanted to ask your thoughts on this. Not that it's super huge impact or anything, but the way that they have increased sniper ammo. So you now can stack 24 instead of 16, and every time you pick one up, you pick up 12 instead of 8. But at the
Mhm.
same time, now the charge rifle uses 2 ammo per shot, and the mag is increased from 4 to 8.
Mhm.
What's that about? Because the other snipers didn't get a nerf to compensate for the stack buff.
Yeah, I didn't really understand it fully either. Uh I'm guessing they're trying to incentivize running players running snipers more since it hasn't been in the meta for a while. Like ever since the charge rifle got nerfed after it was insane, you don't see as much sniper play, and maybe having more ammo for all of the snipers besides for their charge rifle, which I think was the best sniper
Hmm.
until now. I'm guessing that's what it is they kind of they keep the charge rifle functioning the same way or whatever. And well, even then, I guess it kind
It's
of
a
got the
bit
buff
of a
too.
nerf, yeah.
It's
Because
like a
you
small
don't pick
nerf.
up double ammo.
Yeah.
So
So uh, I'm guessing that's what it is. Just like a mild incentive to maybe use more snipers and more various amounts of them.
yeah. Along with that, the triple take also got a buff. So not only does it have the choke built on, which you can turn off. I've never really
Hmm.
understood that. Why do you want to? Is it
I
just the
think it gives
sound?
you, yeah, yeah. Maybe it does have something to do with. I almost feel like firing with the triple take isn't as instantaneous with the choke on or something,
Mm.
or perhaps. you can get more of an average. Because if you fire with with the choke without charging it, then those 3 shots really spread.
Yeah,
Maybe without it, you get more of an average, like a kind of more if you wanna just fire it really fast, but
sustained
not as
damage.
wide.
Okay.
Yeah.
With that, it also got magazine size increase 1 per magazine, and then a fire rate increase from 1.25 to 1.4. So just all around buff. Everything that you could do
Mhm,
to help the triple take, it's there. Here's the one I'm most excited about: the Hemlock.
mhm,
So the Hemlock has 3 things: reduced vertical recoil in burst mode, reduced recoil pattern from second and third shot, so that the first burst kicks less. So that means like it does the 3 round burst, and the second and third don't kick up as much.
mhm,
On top of a vertical recoil reduced. Um, and then burst mode time between burst has been decreased from 0.32 to 0.28. So it shoots faster, it has less spread and less recoil.
mhm.
Uh,
So,
I
yeah,
I have seen people just wrecking with this new Hemlock. It's nuts. um, I
it's yeah.
I
Go
I
ahead.
love burst weapons in all games, and everybody thinks I'm weird for liking burst weapons, but I need I don't know. I need something to keep me reined in, keep me focused on the target rather than just
Mhm,
unloading and trying to track. And
mhm.
I've always loved the Hemlock, and these changes are like
Yeah.
delicioso.
I think they're so good that they may have to nerf it because, like you, there have been times where it's just disgusting how fast it kills people. There was one time where I don't think I've ever been more shocked because every now and then you'll do something and you'll be like, "Whoa, what just happened?" I was more shocked, I think, than I'd ever been in game, and that something subverted my expectations when I had the Hemlock off drop. And in one burst, I did some insane damage on I dropped them in one burst. They were all headshots, and it just murdered the person. It was like a yellow number that was way in the hundreds. It was
You're
I was
like,
like, "Oh my gosh." I was like,
I'm so sorry.
I yeah, like, exactly. It was like I just reported myself for cheating. It was something nuts. So and I didn't get that all the time since I picked up the Hemlock. There was just one time where this one burst in particular from it was like from far out to just erase someone off the face of the planet. And I was like, oh my gosh. So like you though, I actually like Burst. I think Burst is really fun. Ever since Halo 2's VR,
Oh yeah.
I've loved it. I like it. They're just super fun to use. I've always still before they did the same thing with the Prowler, and I liked Prowlers before it. I thought the Prowler was nuts off drop because you could just burst people down in one burst. Like it's so accurate. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think they're gonna have to nerf them
Yeah,
again
it's
because
too
once
good.
players catch on, like, oh my gosh, those things just destroy players.
Okay, Spitfire improved recoil controllability. Honestly, I feel this one. I know it's just like one short line, but especially once you get a barrel on there, I feel like the Spitfire is so much more stable now,
Hmm.
which is
I
like
agree.
so scary. Everything is LMG this season, especially with the new legend.
Hmm.
We're just me and all the potatoes are out there just spraying and praying, and it's working. It's totally working. Havoc got a new recoil pattern that is less horizontal, so the rounds don't spray left and right as much. Which they basically explain it will let them tweak the numbers easier because when it goes left and right, it's like a little change this way makes it way too good, and a little change the other way makes it way too bad. So by
Hmm.
changing the pattern so it's more square shaped, I think, than long, they feel like they can fine tune it better, which is
Right.
fine. Like, okay, you made the Havoc better. Like, they're still so good. I feel like a lot of things is like good things are getting better and bad things are getting worse in these patch notes. Is kind of a theme.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Mozambique from 3 to 4. Kind of
I'm cool
interesting to
with it.
do it now.
Yeah.
I don't know why now.
It always felt like it was in the game as a meme, and then they realized it really fast, and then they kept it there. Like it's just always been a meme weapon.
Yeah,
And all of a sudden they're like, nah, let's make that Mozambique still impractical and very bad, but just slightly less really bad.
right.
Like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know
I'm
why.
cool with it. Like
On a similar note, the P2020 now has increased damage from 13 to 15, but decreased hammer point multiplier from 2.7 to 2.35. It also got an increased magazine size. It can hold 2 more, not consistently. 2 or 1 more per magazine size on it. So
Yeah,
again, nobody's using that for more than a second anyway. So
exactly. I think it's actually a big nerf to beat 2020 because it's like the weapon of choice for hammer point users. Obviously, nerf that. And now you're just only slightly less helpless when you pick it up off the drop because otherwise, if you don't have hammer point, nobody's using it.
yeah,
So it doesn't do much. It just kind of nerfs its late game use.
yeah. 2 more guns. The Sentinel only needs 1 shield cell. If you have the gold armor, probably should always been like that. Just
Hmm.
makes sense. And then the Prowler, just like the Hemlock, reduced vertical recoil in burst mode, but increased horizontal recoil in auto mode. So it's less accurate in full auto, more accurate in burst mode. I think that's probably fair.
Yeah.
Probably fair. Okay. I think we did it. Everything else is
Wow.
bug fixes. Was there any notable bug fixes that you wanted to mention?
They added performance issues being solved in a lot of areas of the map, and
Mhm.
I feel like the map has performed better since I've landed on it. I haven't kept track of location specific performance because I still like will drop frames in like capital,
Mhm.
but otherwise, I think I felt it like in a very subconscious, passive way. Just it seems like it's more consistent of a map to play on.
Aside from the download problems, I feel like this was the first season I can remember that didn't start with like big problems in the game.
Yeah, I think you could be right on that.
It was hard for us
Hmm.
to get in, but like there's no hit reg problems. There's no like swimming underwater through the beginning of the match. None of that weird stuff that we usually have at the beginning of a big patch like this. So,
Hmm.
bravo, golf clap. Next week, I want to get into all the map changes. There's a lot to talk about around the map. I want to get in deep with our Rampart discussion. I guess we can talk about it just briefly here. Like, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah,
I
me
actually
too.
like playing Rampart a lot. It feels like another Loba to me, like a character that's very fun to play that I'm not playing to win games with. But that the LMG perk, her passive that lets her reload and have bigger magazines, on top of the using the Devotion and the Spitfire, which both got buffs, is like really fun. It feels
Yeah.
good. And dropping those walls feels super fun. You can have 5 of them. You can just keep dropping them around and picking them back up. You get a little charge back. I've not been able to use Sheila too effectively. If anything, maybe to just like suppress them into a building so my team could push.
Hmm.
Because it's the range on it is so awful. Like I
Yeah.
think they need to be medium close for that thing to be even a little bit useful.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
what are you gonna say?
Pretty much the same thing. I think this is the most successful new character they've introduced like from day one. Like she's fun and not like horrifically bad. And it's like she's just an interesting, fun character who's not totally bad. Probably not going to be in the competitive meta, but I think the right creative players could make her work for sure. Like you said, the instant cover dropping is really cool when you get all 5 charged. In just a moment, you could pretty much boom, 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 drop 5 covers, put down Sheila, use an ult excel, put down another Sheila, and have this massive fortress with gun turrets all around it. It feels cool. It's
Yeah.
like fun. I've been playing her pretty much as I can since it started, and I don't feel like this helpless bad character. I feel like she has uses for sure. I've used Sheila to actually some success. Like if you continue shooting it, it gets more and more accurate.
Mm,
So I've even had success at range, not at killing people, but at like ruining teams, especially if they're fighting at range.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
I love getting set up and unloading into 2 teams that are fighting.
Yes,
It
exactly.
it doesn't
It's so fun.
Yeah, it's not like wiping everyone, obviously, but it just completely disrupts what every single person is doing
Yeah,
instantly.
exactly.
Instantly. So it's
They
super fun.
scatter like ants.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like if you're in a high ground position and nobody's focused on you and there's team fighting below you, you don't even have to really have full vision on the players. You can just wildly like just fire into them and watch them scramble around.
Yeah.
And what you'll be doing is getting hits between like 13 and 17 on some players. Like, and it's just funny.
Right. Yeah.
It's just funny. That's really what it is it's like really, really funny. And it adds to a cool overall feel on the map. Like there's some like fortified position raining down bullets on you and you kind of have to get covered. It's not like super dangerous, but like you can't really ignore it either. So it's
Yeah.
kind of this cool, like,
No, and it's fun to get shot at too.
Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of exciting when that thing's like, and I'm not that afraid of it, but I do want to get away quickly.
Yeah, it's like the devotion, but but doesn't make you mauled, right? It's like, oh gosh, dang it! But you're kind of laughing more than you're like, no.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
I've set up and I remember this skyhook game where I was, up on the hook where you can see 360 around you
mhm.
and set up a few of them there, and then as the teams came, I made them just run from building to building trying to get away from me as I just chased them around with this gun. It is
Yeah,
really fun to use.
right. And those in the I think the rocket ship area, I forgot what it's called. I know the other staging area is called Countdown, but not the one with the actual rocket on it.
Yeah.
Me and my team barricaded up that control center and put guns on each of the 3 open windows, and all 3 of us were raining down hellfire on the below teams because the end zone was there. So they were all running around and we were just memeing on the entire lobby. It was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what kind of funny clips come out of her this season. So yeah. So one more point I wanted to make though. I am still a little skeptical about tying a legend to a weapon or a weapon type. It does seem kind of weird to me because it's limiting.
Mhm.
Because like any rotation to LMGs or addition to LMGs is a nerf or a buff to one character. Is kind of
Mhm.
weird. And then if you are playing her and you don't have an LMG, you are playing at a disadvantage because the other characters are using their passives. So it doesn't make her worse not to use one, but it means that every character has a perk that you don't have. So in a way, it makes her worse.
It's a really good point, and I completely agree.
So I feel I don't want to see us go too far down that road, and I'm afraid of what it means for like all the future potential changes and additions and everything because now we're stuck to Rampart and what she does. Now her
Right.
passive can change as the game changes,
Mhm.
but it does scare me a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to bring up and totally warranted. And on the sort of the same note, not really, but sort of, they absolutely need to change Pathfinder's passive since
Yes.
now his passive is also the recon class's passive. That makes no sense that his passive uh,
No, his
is still what it
passive
is.
is when he scans, it takes 10 seconds off of his alt
Oh,
up to
sorry.
6 times.
Yeah.
That is his passive now.
Yeah, they absolutely need to alter that without a doubt. It needs to be something completely different.
Yeah,
Hopefully, uh,
100%.
yeah.
So when Whitney comes back next week, we'll talk about all the cool new map changes, and we'll talk about the crafting system because I want to kind of set aside a lot of time. It's really interesting. It's actually bigger than I ever thought it would be.
Mhm.
So that'll do it for this week. Thank you for listening to the show. Please reach out to us. I would love to know who's like listening and liking the show, what your thoughts are, what we should do, like that whole feedback thing. So, this is part of the Gamer. You will find us streaming on the Gamer's Facebook page. That's a really great place to like interact with us in real time. But also, we're both on Twitter. I'm at Epic Schweitzer. And what's yours?
I'm at FinTTV, which is spelled PHINTTV.
Yeah, so like reach out to us. We love doing the show, and I think it'd be a lot more fun if like we had a little more interaction with you guys out there listening. So hit us up; that'd be cool. With that, we'll be back next week for week 2, season 6, when you'll be here, and it'll be a lot of fun. Bye.
Bye.